Also, as a follow-up to last week, let me say that on the specific issue that was the subject of debate, that had to do with the timing and manner in which information would be circulated and distributed and discussed by council members and also distributed to the public. It's my understanding that now, since our last meeting, the city manager has had an opportunity to meet with every member of council and to share the information that would have been discussed in executive session. In light of that, I don't think there's any need for us to have a conversation now as a body. And so I'm prepared for my own part to suspend the request I made at the end of last meeting. I don't think it's necessary for us to have a council conversation. And I would say we can return to the subject whenever it is that the council, in its collective wisdom, wishes to do so. So I'm prepared to put that aside unless there is objection.
No objection. I just think that we should recognize the first motion, which we'll discuss it back in January.
Fair enough. Let me say this about that, not to sound Nixonian in that phraseology. We rely on Robert's Rules of Order when we need to, because whenever there's a dispute, we have to have something that's clear and objective that we can fall back on. It's also been the case that in most of our interactions, we've usually had a less formal process in which we just try to be fair to everyone and let common sense and the majority rule guide our decision making. So if push comes to shove, then we have to abide by Robert's rules, and if we're withdrawing the motion that I presented at the end of the last meeting, then the prior motion I recognize would govern. But I also think we should be sensible about it, and if there comes a point when 4 members of council want to discuss this, it seems to me that ought to be what governs. But we don't have to come to grips with that right now. We can come to grips whenever we do. And I just think we're all better off served trying to avoid procedural disputes and instead focusing on the core issue that may be before us and resolving things through common sense. I think that's a better position whenever we can attain that standard. So, all right. Okay. There's nothing further on our agenda.
There's
One thing
one
that
item.
I wanted to address, if we're okay with this. What I wanted to do is I wanted to make a motion to put on the agenda for a vote on November 26th, which is next Tuesday, a vote on the LDA with Forest City. And I would like to have that put on the agenda next week. Second?
I'll second it.
What do you mean by putting it on the agenda?
Putting it on the
we don't
agenda,
need a motion to put it on the agenda. You
What do
can
I-
just put it on the agenda. The
Okay, I
question
just
is
would like to
whether
put
it'll
it on
be
the
moved and
agenda.
seconded
Yeah.
for action next
Okay,
week,
so
and that's a decision we'd make next week.
Right.
So anyone can put anything on the agenda.
Okay, so I'd like to put on the agenda, the vote on that, and then,
Okay. What are you putting on exactly? The terms of the
a
LDA?
vote on the LDA for Forest City,
Okay.
All right.
as we finished, reviewing what we had to review.
So the point, so that overrides what you had said about putting over discussion until
Right.
January. Can I ask you why?
Yeah, just let's get it done.
Okay, all right. Well,
Okay, that'll be on the agenda next week. Now, that means you may have to circulate, city manager, the LDA terms, because it seems that although the council has seen that, it would be strange to have an item on for a potential public vote without that information being available to the public for their review.
Mary Lou, will we issue an agenda for next week's meeting?
I will revise what we already have by
And it would be included in the
adding,
agenda package.
I'll revise it.
And I don't really see any reason why, correct if I'm wrong, it can be a public document now, so that we'll put it, I guess, on the website, and anybody that wants it can call up and
Okay,
provide a
it'll be
copy.
up to the council whether we actually want to have a vote, but it'll be
I
on the
will
agenda.
recirculate it to the council because we took it back, you'll remember.
Fine. All right, and we will have a meeting tomorrow night. What time, remind me?
5.
5 o'clock, when we'll continue our budget discussions.
So I just want, so the 26th is on for budget and to discuss all the Forest City issues.
Well, the only thing that was put on at the
This is
request
on the LDA.
of Councilmember Tarantino was the LDA. As far as I'm concerned, if members of council want to have a public discussion and the potential to vote on any of the items related to this subject, we can do that, and it's a matter of a motion and second, and if there is, then there'll be a vote. And we can talk about whether the timing is right or not right.
Can I ask a procedural question? If a motion is previously made to defer it until, well, you can't retract since it's already been voted on.
We didn't vote on his. We never voted on it.
We voted on, you
No,
voted
the
on,
first
we voted on a
motion still
motion.
holds. He's right.
Voting on a motion to put it over until January. Now you're saying let's put it on the agenda for next week. It would seem to me that there would have to be a motion to put it on for next week to override the prior motion in order for you to have a vote next week, because you raised, let's limit it and put it off till, you said you made a motion to put it off till January, so you'd have to make another motion, not just say put it on the agenda. That's am I right?
Or you could just move to rescind your prior motion
Yeah, we
and
just-
then have it on the,
Make a move to rescind my prior motion.
I second it.
I'd like to interrupt the meeting for a second, have a caucus over in council to discuss this before we vote on it.
You'd like to take a break?
Yes.
Okay. If there's no objection, we'll take a, 5-minute break or something like
Okay.
that. All right. Cameras will be turned off. We'll have a break.
It's not a bad idea to ask you about that, but they're not gonna do it.
Let's save it for We're on? Okay, we'll return. The suggestion of a moment ago was withdrawn. Let me just say briefly that little exchange is kind of why I wish it was not necessary to have to resort to sort of procedural maneuvers. If we want to talk about something, we should talk about something. If we don't, then we don't have to. There's been a request made to put, I guess, this entire set of items on the agenda for next week. It'll be on the agenda. Council will have an opportunity to talk about it. If there's a motion and second, there'll be a vote, and we'll go from there. So is there any further comment on that matter? Okay.
I think it's a motion to rescind the prior motion.
you could do it either way.
Well,
I just don't, I'm happy to do it that way. I just don't want us to get into the habit of having to undertake these kinds of motions in order to accomplish what it seems like we all want to accomplish.
With respect, I think in this case we should, because we have a motion that passed to rescind, and I'm not
Fine.
comfortable
There was a
putting it on
motion
the
and
agenda.
second to rescind it. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so this will be on again next week, and we'll see where we go from there.
Okay.
All right, thank you all very much.